What's the dumbest thing you did as a teenager? I stood on the roof of a 3-story house during a tornado. Drunk off of my dad's stash of Jack Daniels. Screaming at the sky. Is this the best you can do? I used a 3-man slingshot to blast an orange at a girl's house. It went through the window. Posted this before. But the off-road skateboard parasailing idea. When I was 17 we used to take our cars down to a disused field and slide them around in the mud like you do with your first car. We also used to tow each other behind the cars using rope and stuff like sledges and dustbin lids. One day I decided to buy a dirt board, off-road skateboard, like this one. We then decided that we could probably parasail behind the car if we built up a bit of speed and made a parachute. So that we did. We got a rectangular bit of tarpaulin. Tied bits of rope through the metal ringlets in each corner and tied the other ends of the bits of rope to a rucksack. We then cut a hole in the middle because that's what parachutes have, so this'll make it work. I strapped myself into the dirt board. Tied a rope around my waist, the other end of which was tied to the car, and off we went. We hit about 30 miles per hour before I threw the parachute. The wind caught it and it lifted me up about 10 feet into the air before violently slamming me back to earth. The impact broke 4 ribs and being dragged along by the car after hurt like duck. In hindsight, this was never realistically going to work. Edit, grammar. One time I drank a whole bottle of cough syrup in the grocery store bathroom to see what would happen. Security was waiting for me when I left the bathroom. I spent the next hour handcuffed to a chair and hallucinating, with the security guards just laughing at me the whole time. They let me go and said what happened was punishment enough. I got caught shoplifting a $1.99 glow-in-the-dark Dunkin' Yo-Yo when I was 15 and the store pressed charges. Ended up having to do 10 hours of community service and write a 3-page essay on why stealing is wrong. Man. My whole family laughed at me so hard. I went to the midnight premiere of the last Lord of the Rings movie with some friends drunk on Georgia and dressed as Gimli. I was the shortest of my friends. We got in a mock fight with a bunch of similarly dressed characters while in line, which turned into a real fight when our Legolas did some spinning bow attack and accidentally smacked a girl in their group in the face. We got kicked out and didn't get to see the movie. I never told my dad for fear that he would never look at me the same. I came to school drunk. I used to be very shy. Drinking made me extrovert, which made me feel better about myself. I drank way too much and threw up in class. The guy next to me had vomit all over his t-shirt. It was so bad I passed out and I woke up in a hospital. When I used a China-made grappling hook from Amazon to climb an abandoned factory that was shut down for its chemical wastes. Let me clarify. When I attempted to use a Chinese-made grappling hook to climb a building, I ended up with a broken clavicle, sprained legs, and a hole in my shoulder. When I was 13, a friend and I met an adult woman in real life that we had met online, hoping for sex. It ended with us being chased out of a trailer park by 3 men with a baseball bat and no sticks. I jumped off a cliff because a girl dared me. After her father won an age discrimination case, a teenager posted on Facebook all about how the family was going to spend the money, which violated the non-disclosure terms. She cost her dad $80,000. I put Vicks Vapo Rub in my eyes to irritate them so they'd get bloodshot and make me look like I was high. I was an idiot. I isolated myself in my room, stopped hanging out with friends, and gave up my entire social life. All for my internet girlfriend. This sheet lasted for over a year. My friends and I bought a live lobster, put it on a leash, and took it on a 5-mile walk at 3 AM. Insult and shout at my parents on a daily basis. I took out all of my anger and teenage angst on them. I'm surprised they didn't throw me out or murder me in my sleep. I've been making it up to them for years now. Hotboxed my closet. Mom walked into me masturbating with a bag of Doritos next to me. Believed that the guy would trim my full room when I traded him it. Drive drunk and or stoned. I regret that so much. I definitely wasn't bright in high school. I would even hotbox while driving. Now, I'm 29. Quit weed 4-5 years ago. And I hate to drive even if I drank just 1 or 2 beers. And always make sure I have a designated driver if I am going to drink watching the games at a bar. Even have 3 business cards to 3 different taxi companies in my wallet just in case my designated driver can't drive or pick me up. Play it safe. Drink maturely and responsibly. What happened? Ontario teenager throws massive party inside his parents' still under construction 5,000 square foot home, which led to $70,000 worth of damage. Took 5 or 6 muscle relaxants. Don't remember going to sleep. Woke up in the middle of the night and could barely lift an arm. Had chest pain. Went back to sleep almost immediately. But I had the sudden thought of, is this it? Luckily it wasn't. Got pissed up at a party and danced on the dude's car that was being a hunt to the chick I liked. Needed a new roof and bonnet repair. £2,000 as a 16-year-old is a lot of money. Florida teenager filming himself driving like an idiot gets into car accident involving 4 other vehicles. He's seriously injured. And while in the hospital, he uploads the video of him crashing to YouTube, which helps police arrest him for reckless driving. Honestly, there was a lot. In the summer of 2008 my best friend hung herself and I fell in with a bad crowd. Not everyone was bad but most were dumb as hell and we went through a lot of shenanigans. I'll go with what I think was the funniest though. One day I was hanging out with my ex, Alec, and our friends Lyle, Kate, Cara, Joe, and Bill. My mom had just left to go to lunch with my grandpa and his bridge club, 3 sweet little old ladies. So us idiot teens had the house to ourselves. Shortly after they left, the boys of the group decided to prance around in only their boxers. The girls, myself included, decided to only wear our bras and undies. The boys didn't want to be outdone so they raided my sister's room, who wasn't home at the time, and came out only wearing women's thongs. Women's thongs don't do anything to cover male genitalia in case you were wondering. Over the next hour more teenage idiocy ensues, such as jumping mostly naked in broad daylight on my trampoline and mid-air tickle fights. Even though nothing sexual happened, I saw more testicles than I have in my entire life that day. Eventually we relocated to my living room and started playing Rock Band in our skivvies. Shortly thereafter my mom, grandpa and his bridge club walk in through the front door to see all those bare butts in their teen glory. My friend Lyle was standing and playing guitar when he noticed her and said hi Alibi's mom and went straight back to playing. Then he realized how exposed he was and covered his junk with the guitar. Then everyone scrambled to cover themselves. My ex was kind enough to cover himself with me. I was so embarrassed that I started laughing uncontrollably and was quickly purple in the face. My grandpa and his bridge club quickly left and I put on some clothes to apologize to my mom. All she had to say about the incident was, "You better be glad it was happy hour at the senior center." Stole a car whilst extremely intoxicated, then proceeded to play bumper cars trying to get it out the car park. I wrecked 5 cars and got arrested for aggravated vehicle taking, drink driving and criminal damage. I was extremely lucky not to get a prison sentence. Shoplifting. Got caught when I was 17 and it scared the shit out of me. Haven't even thought of doing it since. Also, DXM. Pretty sure that ducked me up for life. I hurt myself with a stapler on a dare. My family went on a cruise during my senior year of high school. I was still hiding the fact that I had started smoking cigarettes at 17 from them. I ran out about 3 days into the vacation. When the ship docked in Puerto Rico, I noticed a shitty little convenience store about 10 minutes from the dock. Once we were done on the island and my family was all back on the ship, I got off the ship alone and wandered through a foreign country alone at 17 to buy cigarettes from the creepiest convenience store I've ever experienced. It still makes me scratch my head when I realize how much could have gone wrong on that excursion. Dated a 21-year when I was 16. I'm 22 now. And he's still dating high schoolers. nice try. Dad, you ain't getting anything out of me. I was 15 and was working as a volunteer at a Jesus camp that I had gone to since I was a little kid. By that age I had already developed a pretty heavy marijuana habit. So I convinced myself that if I was going to stay away for a week I would definitely have to bring some weed with me to survive. I smoked every day then. I bought 7 grams right before. And decided I would use 1 gram per day. Which I would split into 3 small .3 joints, one for the morning, afternoon, and evening. So I brought around 21 little joints with me. Some of the campers there were my friends though. Around day 2 I was already done with smoking alone. So thought it would be a great idea to smoke with one of my friends who was 14 at the time and a camper there. Because we didn't go far away enough from the camp we got caught by a camp counselor soon after, who ratted us out to the head of the camp. They searched through all my stuff and found my box of like 20 some joints, which looked pretty bad since I was so young then. Then they called the police on me. And I got arrested in front of everybody and my uncle had to come to drive me home. I took off my clothes, tied my ankles together and tied them to a rope around my neck. Then tied my wrists behind my back and jerked off. As I came I decided it would be a good idea to throw myself forwards on the bed. This led, unsurprisingly, to my legs pulling the rope around my neck tight. At which point I realized I had made a potentially foolish mistake. Fortunately my idiocy extended to my knot tying skills and I freed myself before my mother had to discover my naked, bound, jizz-coated corpse. Many years later my professional occupation included work on population death statistics and a room full of very educated people had a discussion of a little known but substantial cause of teenage death, autoerotic asphyxiation. I did not bring up my personal expertise in the subject. Edit, never have so many been interested in my masturbatory practice. Let's just say if you tie your own hands behind your back, you are not likely to do a very good job of it. Bought NFL jerseys and matching shoes. My friends and I used to steal those orange construction barrels from random work sites. We would take them and line them up across random roads at night to hold up traffic and be typical asshole teenagers. One night we decided to dress up in different costumes and watch the cars line up while hiding in a nearby bush. I was in a Scooby-Doo suit and my friends were all dressed up as various Justice League superheroes. The first car that pulled up to the line of construction barrels was a cop. He threw on his lights and aimed them straight at the bush we were hiding in. All of a sudden we all darted out of the bush in different directions. This cop was watching Scooby-Doo and the Justice League scatter out of the bushes like a bunch of illegals running from the border patrol.